Rory Wayne Bushfield, or Bushy Wayne, is a Canadian professional skier, former X Games competitor, and aviator. There are a lot of great skiers out there and a lot of great pilots, but not a lot of people, if any, combine these two disciplines and use planes to find ski lines and zones of their dreams. Oh yeah, and Rory also throws his skis out of planes onto glaciers and skydives down to them to get some longer than normal laps in, you could say. He's an infectiously stoked dude who talks very casually about some of the crazy stuff that he does, which makes me all the more excited to share this very casual conversation we had with you guys. I hope you enjoy this podcast and learn a little bit more about how far life can take you and how far you can take life. Welcome to Worlds. Let's go. I nailed that one. Okay.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, skiers and riders.
Oh, hey.
I'm pretty good right now.
Welcome to Worlds. I like the TMNT pillow that you got. That's dope.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Pretty hyped on that pillow. I've been keeping it in use for a while now.
Yeah. That's legendary. So wait, are you in do you have like your own, like, where are you right now essentially? Where do you live in?
I own a piece of property out in Squamish.
Okay.
And live out here part-time.
Okay,
have
cool.
It's acres. So I have a couple spots around.
Okay.
I have some friends on the land and yeah, we're just out here because it's close to the edge of like the place where we go. It's just down from the airport, and it's just down from the valley goes. We're basically the last community before that just goes out into the abyss. It's pretty sick zone. A lot of good shit back there.
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds awesome. Squamish is I've actually spent a little bit of time there. I had an internship with a mountain bike film company called IFHT in Vancouver one summer, and I got to spend a lot of time in Squamish filming and riding and stuff like that. So it's a cool town. A lot of people that I've talked to are like, oh, like it's just the pit stop on the way to Whistler, but it's so sick. The like variety of activities that you can do in Squamish is pretty much unlike, and the terrain and the opportunity is unlike like anywhere else I've been, I think. So they also have
it's pretty cool, man. And being on the ocean and everything's really close. Big sheer mountains right up out of the ocean.
Yeah, it's pretty
I grew
nuts.
up in Alberta. When I got out here, I was like, holy fuck, man, this place is so much. I mean, Alberta's cool and all, but we don't have like ocean we don't waterfalls everywhere and like old growth forest to like granite opening. It's pretty, I'm sick out here, man.
Oh yeah. I've hiked up the Chief, and then there's also I've like biked a lot around there, and there's that like, I don't know what it's called, but there's like a burger joint next to a cafe, and then there's a really good like local ice cream shop that goes up kind of by Quest, and I went and ate there a lot, and that was always a super cool spot.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Squamish. But so have you been skiing a lot this season yet? Is there a lot of snow up there? Because Colorado's been pretty brutal as far as the snowpack.
Yeah, hey, no, it's been pretty good here, man. We've been lucky. As far as everywhere else isn't as good, but there's not lots, but good enough that we've had a couple storms that stayed cold after. It's been nice. It's been good, man. We've been shredding lots.
That's good. Is the Avi Danger chill up there or no?
Seems pretty chill. I mean, I've been staying out of the zones that aren't chill, but I've heard of a few slides. One of my buddy had to dig a guy out yesterday.
Really?
But I wasn't there for that. I was down on Burke's Bumps. So there's no avalanches down there.
Yeah, it's mellow. That's where you got to be.
No wind, frost, no avalanches, just jumps, man. It's so easy.
Sweet session.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been 4 people that have died in Colorado this year from avalanches already.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in
It
December.
happened, man.
It's brutal for sure. But
yeah, it's tough.
do you go up to Whistler to ski the resort ever anymore or not really?
A little bit, man, here and there. Not a ton, but I mean, I'm putting my skis on my plane right now. And so I missed last year because I was getting a new engine put in, but this year I got a new engine and I'll put the skis on. So I rebuilt the skis for my 180, and so this year, new engine, new skis.
Do they still have the
Should be
bungees on them or no?
Oh yeah, they're bungee skis. They're like they're meant. They need those bungees. That bungee's just pulling the tip up as much as it like. So they're pretty cool units, man, for how old they are, like from the 50s. And they like how rickety they look, and then you use them and like, wow, man, they work so well.
So because my grandpa actually flew bush planes up in Alaska, so like the concept of putting skis on a plane is like not too unfamiliar for me, but but how about like the drag and stuff that you get? Because I feel like that'd be pretty significant.
Yeah, it's like floats. I've flown just a little bit of floats. I have never in my plane. I have floats for it. I just never put them on because really they're straight floats, and I don't have a plane in BC or Alberta, anywhere really like that I can think of. Where do you keep your plane unless I'm living on a lake somewhere? I don't know how to deal with floats, man. It's like like just leaving your plane overnight floating in the water. It's so scary to me, man. Especially in Squamish. Like, what am I gonna leave it in the house sound? Like, are you like that's crazy?
Yeah,
And
it's
then
nuts.
I mean, you could do river spots, but those rivers go up and down so much. Like, barely leave a boat on the river, let alone a plane.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to do like I'm gonna do like a couple months of floats, but no, I heard there's much drag as skis. Floats and skis are about the same. I don't know how that can be true because the float's so much bigger, but apparently they fly. The floats actually fly the plane a little bit. They act like wings at a certain like once you get going, I'm sure 30-40 miles an hour they start flying.
Wow, that's nuts. What's so you have a Cessna 180, right? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your vertical takeoff and landing distance? Your best that you've gotten?
Like distance on the runway, you mean?
Yeah, or just like a lot of like the bush plane pilots, they'll do like the competitions where they'll just like build those crazy specialized planes and then land it in like 6 feet. It's like basically just a helicopter with wings.
Yeah. My buddy James Spikes, he's the 180. He's the champ the last 2 years in Valdez.
Okay.
I don't know what his record is, but he's the fight. Valdez is where all those guys compete.
Yeah.
He beat them all in the 180 class, which is pretty fucking badass. The Super Cubs, though, man, they can go so short, it's crazy.
Like a carbon cub.
Oh man, and then they trick those things out. It's like
Put like Garmin avionics and stuff in them, and they're pretty crazy.
Yeah. And just like air brakes almost, like huge wheels and certain things like attached to them to slow them down. So they're just like hover machines, and it's pretty cool. My buddy flew in with a Super Cub to this one spot we were at. And we landed our 180s there, me and my buddy James, the guy from Alaska. And he flew in his Cub and like made it look like he like landed where we landed, so the runway sideways. And then he took off in the pitch dark in the moonlight. And friggin' it was like he didn't seem to give a shit. This kid was only like 17 or 18 years old, and his dad's like carbon Cub. Took off in the middle of the night, man, and the kid was so badass, he didn't give a shit. He was like, okay, guys, put his gun in his holster. Like, have a good night. Good to see you. And he just like come out to a bonfire down the road. It was pretty sick, man.
It's cool. I think it seems like you've definitely adopted the like I go everywhere in my plane kind of lifestyle, because I feel like once you get that access, and I mean that a lot of the people in Alaska do, it's like, all right, just put skis on it, floats on it, wheels on it, and then just freaking go anywhere. It's pretty dope.
It's pretty nice, man. The amount of places you can go.
Yeah.
And the better you get at it and the more you go, there really is. There's a lot of like spots you might have thought, you're like, oh, I don't know. But if you fly over it 30 times and watch it change, and like maybe you fly over it the one time, they're like, there's tons of possibilities on an airplane. It's like, and that's not a helicopter, but you can get into some smaller spots than you think.
Why did you specifically, so was the interest in aviation always to like go skiing, like fly to go skiing?
Yeah, for sure. Though I always wanted to fly, obviously, but that was why that was my main motivation, totally, to fly to go skiing, man. So I
Yeah.
was flying around in helicopters, filming movie parts, and spending so much money. And because we were most of the time we're just scouting, just like looking around, like why don't we get an airplane that's like a fraction of the price and fly that around and scout? But it's like that's hard too because you scout something and then the storm. You should have been in a helicopter. So when you're scouting, you could just land and do it right then, right? But that's the beauty of the ski plane, man. That was the dream. It's a fraction of the price. You're flying, man.
Was
Fly
that
in, fly out. It's a lot of skinning. No toe in. But sometimes your boys show up with helicopters. You're already out there, and your buddy flies over. It's like it's nice. You get a lift to the top. It happens. It doesn't happen if you're not there. But if you're there.
That's awesome. So wait, so yeah, because I was just gonna ask because of the motivation for it to always be access to go ski places, then so you chose to not get your heli license because it was more expensive, essentially, and just
I'd
helicopters in
love to
general.
get it, man. I'd love to get my helicopter license. For sure. I'll get it one day. But yeah, it's expensive, man. It's like in Canada, you can get a pilot's license for 10 grand or just more.
Yeah, it's the same
And
in the
then
States.
the helicopter license probably costs you 50 if you're like bare minimum, right?
Like 50?
Yeah, 50,000. So it's 5 times more expensive to get to fly. And then if you want to get a helicopter, when you're done with your fixed wing license, you can buy a plane. Like, fuck, man, you can get a plane for $15,000. Like, there's planes out there that are pretty sick, like smaller kit planes, and then you get like a 150 or a 152. Those planes you're still flying, man. They're sick planes. Or you get, for less than 100 grand, you can get yourself into something ridiculous. You get a helicopter license. What are you going to go buy an A-Star for $3 million? It's like your best bet is a R44, $350,000, man. And then it costs, the maintenance is like, it's just a lot more. It's like 4 or 5 times more expensive
Wow.
than flying fixed wing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Here in the States, it's like 10 grand ish to get your private fixed wing, but then your helicopter is more like it's like 18. But yeah, as
Are
far
you
as
sure?
like
No way, dude.
I'm pretty I've looked
Maybe I'm
into
out
it
to
before.
lunch with the 50 then, if that's the case. I could be, because I know in the U.S., Canada's pretty similar for that sort of stuff. But I don't know, man. It costs 5 times more to operate a helicopter. So for you to get your time, it's still 50 hours.
Yeah.
You have to get in a helicopter in 50 hours. Flying instead of what is it, 172 that charge you $100 and $120 an hour for any kind of helicopter is at least going to be like 500 or 600, but like just a cheap helicopter. Maybe they have really, really those cheap, really little ones.
Little
I
sketchy.
have seen that actually in Vancouver. There's a heli school, and they have those little 2-seater, teeny little bubble. Those aren't too expensive to operate. Maybe if you're flying those, but if you want to learn how to fly an A-Star, it's expensive, man.
Yeah, it's gnarly. And then like you said, once you actually want to get like a functional, especially in the terrain that you want to get into, it's like a couple million. Cause a lot of those like heli ski helicopters, the ones with the like crazy composite frames and stuff are like a couple $1,000,000. And then you're like jumping in and out of them quickly. And they're like, all right, don't touch anything. Don't pull any levers. Don't mess anything up.
Has to have enough power. It's scary that you can't really heli ski in a small, like in an underpowered helicopter. Yeah. Super sketch.
Yeah, it sounds super sketch. Damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've looked into getting my private pilot just for I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of commercial travel, but my dad's actually a private pilot. He has his like private pilot's license, fixed wing.
Good.
And he got to he had a 172 and stuff growing up, and we just got to like fly around everywhere, and it just made things so much easier. So it's definitely on the list. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
do it, man. It's so nice. It depends where you live. There's some places I could imagine, like I've flown and seen cars passing me on the highway before. Like living in the mountains, it just makes shit so much easier, man.
Yeah, I've seen
Go right over the.
yeah, I've seen clips on Instagram of like people in like a 152, and then there'll be like a headwind, and then they just like tilt
Yeah,
down to the ground, and then their plane's just not moving.
yeah. Cars. That's happened to me in my 180, man. It was like flying over Alberta, looking down. I was like, the cars are passing me. I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna get there. I just can't control the direction of the wind.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's the worst when like normally you fly like one direction or the other and it'll be like, oh, tailwind here, headwind there, but then it'll like switch and you just get
Yeah,
headwind, and then it just sucks because you just spend way more time. I also I was bad about like the motion sickness stuff in the beginning and the turbulence, like getting used to like being uncomfortable with like the plane just bouncing up and down and you're just like, all right, this is chill. Like, cause normally in like a 747, it takes a lot to like get that thing like really moving up and down. But especially like flying through the mountains with all the thermals and stuff like that, you just get bucked around a lot of the time and it's pretty
yeah,
freaky at first,
bouncy, man.
for sure. But so why did you decide to live in Squamish instead of Whistler?
Well, I used to live in West for a little bit. I just like the ocean, to be honest, man. A big fan of Squamish. Just the being at sea level and being, I don't know. I like Whistler too, but I caught myself going to Squamish more than anything, or Pemberton. It was going to either be Pemberton or Squamish. But Squamish has got, and you're right there to the airport. It's like you're out at any. It's pretty far to the airport. Even Whistler's pretty far. Squam is far, man. It's like over an hour to get to the airport. It's not. I like Squamish. That was one of the. Those are the three reasons, really.
Yeah. So is your plane in? So there's not a strip in Squamish, right? Or like where
Yeah,
is?
yeah. There's a strip right in Squam, the north end of Squamish,
Oh, really? Okay.
but you can't fly like not in like. I was talking about YVR. That was why. For when I first moved to Squamish, I didn't fly yet. It was like I found that airport when I was. I blew my knee when I first moved to Squamish, and I was recovering. And I went down. I was just driving around. I went down to the airport. I was like, sick. I should go. I should fly. And I just went in there. And I met a super awesome guy that basically got me into it. He's like, man, so you should just start flying, dude. He's like, be super. He's like, I'll take you for a flight. And if you really like it, you can put it on. He hooked me, man. And like it was 6 months later, I had my pilot's license. I had
Wow.
always wanted to, but it sort of just fell on my lap too, man. I was like, what was it? It was literally looking for something to do because my knee hurt. I couldn't do anything. I was like, I wonder if I can fly a plane. And I went up with Buddy. I was like, I could put enough pressure on the rudder for sure. At that point in my knee recovery, that I dropped into it, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much did flying change the way you looked at skiing?
A lot, probably a lot, man. I mean, when I'm in the plane anyway, because I can't ski anything I can't land beside. So it's like that's tough to fly by stuff that you'd love to ski, but there's like, fuck, man. I land there and then hike for 2 days to get over to it. It's like you got to be able to land close to it. So that made me look at terrain differently. Uh, that's about it, probably. When it came to like, what was the question again?
Well, just like how did flying and like I'd say how much you gain the ability to access these really far away places. Like I don't know what what's the mountain range. So if you drive on the Sea to Sky Highway, like north towards Whistler, and you look like left, and there's like the Howe Sound, but then there's the peaks on the other side.
For Tantalus.
Yeah. Have you been over to those at all?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
landed on the Tantalus.
Yeah.
It was 2 winters ago now. Not last winter because I didn't have the entry, but the winter before I landed on the Tantalus. It was scary, man. Super small little saddle to land. Like the plane only turns to the left. You don't have brakes on snow. So you're like, I did one landing and fully messed it up. Didn't have anywhere to stop. Turned around. and had to like and I ended up going into a shade line. It was like we're hauling ass down the glacier, and like we hit a shade line, and it was the scariest thing ever. Like we couldn't see anything in the shade for a second. I was fully taped and took off like in the shade, but then we were in like the flat light of like it was so scary, man.
Oh my gosh.
We turned back around and landed on the it right in the corner. It's the corner pocket. We were able to land on the right side, you know, and lookers right, and then come up around. Just literally did like a high mark with the plane underneath the lines we were gonna ski, and then came down, and just to slow the plane down in the snow, all you got is you can pull back. You can like push forward until you're going as slow as you can, and then just dig the tail ski into the ground. It's all you got. It's the only way to slow down. I'm like, my calves hurt from pushing the brakes. They're not doing anything. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was a good one. But we've gone a lot further. I've flown in that direction, Max, for probably just about, I mean, an hour and a half, 3 hours fuel. It's an hour and a half, landed on Mount Waddington and skied, shredded there for the day, and then came back in the same day.
wow.
That was a pretty haywire adventure. But that was in the spring, later spring, so the snow was good, actually. We got some good snow. It's a high elevation out there.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But
Because I
it
remember.
does makes you have the.
You're good. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, it gives you the ability to go so much further. You're right. It makes you look at it differently.
Yeah, because I remember looking at those mountains and I was like, oh, I want to go check that out. And then I talked to my friend. He's like, dude, you're never getting over there. It's just so far away. And I think that's like the beauty with Canada, though, is that there's just so much so much opportunity, but you just need to figure out a way to get to it. And it sounds like you figured out like the perfect way that doesn't cost millions of dollars.
Yeah, and it's nice to not be like, to be the operator. It is, in some ways, it isn't nice. You know, it's like I have to concentrate on so much more shit than like when you fly out in the chopper and you have a guide and a pilot and your buddies, you know, it's like, and the cameraman, everybody's like helping you. Whereas like going out there, just me and one guy, being like, all right, let's shred that and try to film each other. We'll try to get back to the plane alive, all right? and then we'll try to take off this cliff that I'm not sure if it goes yet because we haven't done it yet, right? It's not like I land and do a bunch of go arounds. I'm not trying to fuck around. It's like I land, I'm like, if it stops, shut that plane down, man. Let's try to let's go skiing. But then the whole time I'm skiing, I'm like, fuck, here we go. You know, it's like it's awesome, man. It's just a lot. Gets your heart pumping.
I would imagine that, especially like, so you've done a lot of, well, I'll talk about this later, but you've obviously filmed like a lot of things as a professional athlete, and like always, like you said, you have people helping you, like the filmers, the guides, the pilots and stuff like that. But then when you go out by yourself, also, I'd imagine the like danger and like if something goes wrong pressure, it definitely increases because it's like, holy shit, like,
oh yeah,
prepare to self-rescue, you know what I mean? Because it's just like,
for sure.
this just seems pretty gnarly.
Well, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier in a lot of ways because you don't have to like convince anyone of anything. You don't have to like make decisions and tell it. You don't even have to communicate because you're only there with one guy. But with that, also, you're right. You don't have the support, and when shit goes wrong, it's like really bad to a certain point. It's like when you're out skiing out of a helicopter, skiing big mountains, man, it's like the amount of times I've been just left, like, I'm like looking at the guide, like, there's no way that guy's getting to me anytime soon. He's like on a whole other peak because he didn't want to shred the same thing. You know, he's like, the chaw is like, you have a helicopter there. That's a huge, like, that thing will save your life. Without, it's like, the guide and all of that, it's like, they definitely can help you in a million situations, but there's some where you're less like, you're on your own. No matter what, whether you're there with a ton of people or you're there just by yourself, you're usually like, you just have to be super conscious of what the fuck you're doing and not take stupid risks, really.
So would you say you're really pushing your skiing when you go out with you and just a buddy, or is it more just like, let's just go find something fun and like,
I want to, Max. That's my goal, man, is to be able to push my skiing when I go out in the plane. It's tough. It's been tough for me. That's been a big something that I didn't think about when I got into what I got. Like when I got into the plane and put skis on it and then tried to ski out of the plane, I didn't really think about like how I'd feel once I got there. You know, it's like a lot of my mind is just wrapped around flying the plane there and then getting it off the glacier. You know, how heavy's the plane? Which way's the wind going? Is there a storm coming? Is like, did the snow just freeze and get sticky? Am I stuck to the snow? Is like, there's so many things. Is the plane going to start? How much time do I need to heat the engine with that generator before I can start the plane? Do I need to go down to the plane right now? Should I not even ski this line? You know, you know, it's like, that's just like I'm halfway up and all this shit's running through my head. I'm like, fuck, I'm here, man. I have to go there. But it's like, it's like what I want is to be comfortable enough out there with the plane and the flying that, yeah, I can push my ski. That's my goal. And I've been flying in the glacier for 4 years now. And I'm like the biggest rookie there is, man. It's like, but I've learned a lot, man. And a lot of it comes from riding a snowmobile and skiing. It's like I've been landing on snow my whole life. So I was like, I sort of have an idea of which way the terrain can catch the airplane. And then just getting the wind and not trying to land in flat light, that sort of shit. It's like, lots of times you're there and where you want to land, it's just shady. It's like you can't see where the snow is at all. You can chuck things out of the plane all you want. It makes it a little bit better, but until you put tracks on that glacier, it's like can't tell which way the wind's really going either, right?
yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky, and that's all shit that like I just want to get better at and be more comfortable with, so I can get that day where I'm out there early in the morning. Everything was like boom, plane's in a good spot. I know it's gonna start. Takeoff's gonna be fine. It's like shred this. If we need to spend the night because of weather, it's fine. Then again, man, I've lost sleds on glaciers. Imagine losing a fucking airplane to a storm. I you can't take off for 6 days. Your plane's just buried every morning you wake up. Like, oh my God.
That's gnarly, yeah. And you can't
It could happen.
you can't have a helicopter come like fly your plane out, because you can get like sleds flown out by helicopters, even though it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, my plane, you can lift an A-Star as long as I'm like not over. I'm get probably 8,000 or 9,000 feet. An A-Star can lift my plane up.
Really?
Yeah, my buddy has an A-Star. He offered to do it. He's like, that was another thing. He's like, he told me, I was like, if I get stuck, man, you can help me, right? He's like, well, how heavy? I was like, yeah, I should be able to lift you out if you get stuck. So go have fun. I was like, dopest dude ever. and that was a boost of confidence right there, man. It's the first time putting it down on the snow. I was like, I don't know. I thought I might flip over. Never done it. And it's hard to find a guy to teach you to land in the snow. That's not like ridiculously, you don't have to fly across the country and pay all his, it's like, it's pretty simple stuff. Skis, wheels up, skis down, land on the snow, uphill, into the wind, preferably.
Were there
and then have room to turn to the left, because it will not turn to the right.
why left?
Because the plane, when you take off, it's like always wants to turn to the left. You have to go right rudder on takeoff. Or no, sorry. Wants to turn to the, what is it doing? You have to go right rudder on takeoff because the plane wants to go left. It always wants to go left. So you're right rudder. And then you land on snow, and just the oscillation, like just the turning of the propellers makes the plane like, she just wants to go left, man. You don't have much control over it.
You should check your alignment. Maybe like get the wheels. I'm kidding, but
maybe you make me think about it. But no, I think it's just because the propellers turn in one direction, right? It turns the plane the other direction.
Yeah. So
puts more weight on it basically puts more weight on the right side. So it's like makes more drag on more weight on the left side. Sorry, it pushes the left side down making it more drag on the left side because the propeller spin into the right. Yeah, so it'd be turning you to the pushing your left ski into the ground. Pretty sure.
Yeah, sounds about right. So
Sounds
you
about right.
so you said that it was hard to find someone to teach you to land in snow with skis, and you didn't want to like have to pay someone to fly across the country. So did you just do it one day? You were just like woke
Yeah.
up and you're like, today's the day.
Well, you don't actually need to get a ski rating, not in Canada anyway. You can just put skis on and go for it. And they're like, I know they're wheel skis, right? So I flew around with them on wheels. But yeah, the first day I put it down on snow and they were the old skis from like, I don't know what the guy done with them before me, but they were trashed. And I just didn't know any better. I did like a couple landings with those skis that year, like probably 25, and then was like, I need to upgrade these skis. They're so slow. Can we wax them? We ended up doing re-Tefloning the whole bottom and putting 2 inches on either side to make them. They're fat. They're nice now. They're awesome. And there was like a door that like comes back and to fill the ski hole. And then behind that was just a big open area, but we filled that whole open area with Teflon too. They're nice now. They work really well.
So do you remember the first time that you were just on final with the skis down and you were just like, all right, like I'm just gonna see how this goes, like final approach to land, I mean?
Yeah, I do, man. I I was trying to land going down the glacier because I had heard or I'd read in some book that you wanted to pack your landing first. And I'd also put the skis on and waited like a month, man. It snowed for like a month after I put the skis on. And there was like no good days at all. And then boom, full bluebird day. And there's like a meter of fresh snow on the glacier. And instead, I didn't know any better to land on a hillside, which I should have, because get your snowmobile stuck on the side of a hill. It's easy to get out. Get it stuck in the flats. It's flats or horrible. So anyway, I came into land going down the glacier, slight slope glacier, and was like, I was just trying to make a trail, like touched it down, and I was just trying to like pack a trail, and all of a sudden it just like, whoa, I started sinking into the snow, like, whoa, and just full power, plane's only going like 30K, 20K, or I mean, you're in the States, miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, stopped, and I'm just fully pinned, like, holy fuck, man, we're stuck. So we got out of the plane and took all the shit out of the plane, shoveled out the front of the skis, and then stepped the runway for like this is at 8 a.m. We stepped the runway till like it was getting dark. I think it was like 7. It was in the spring, sort of. So it was getting dark like 7. We stepped the runway till like 5:30, man. Like stepped all day. Finally, I was like, my buddy I was with was like so pissed at me. He's like, we were going out for a sick, like you told me we were gonna ski some shit. You're gonna land your plane. I was like, you didn't tell me this was your first time. Anyway, so he wasn't that pissed. He was a good guy. Ian McIntosh, super good guy. He helps me step the runway the whole day, and then I make him. He's a pretty big guy, so I make him get out, stay out with all the gear. I drain a little bit of gas. Then I go for it, man, and I barely, like, I get to the end of where we'd step like a mile down the glacier and back up. And I get to the end, I still can't get it off the ground. It keeps veering off to the left. What I should have done is a curving left runway, made a straight one. I didn't know that it turned left yet. So it was like it keeps veering off to the left. I'm like back in the pal, like trying to get it back on the runway that we made. And I finally like get to the end of the runway, and there's like a little like bump and drop away, and that's why we didn't step any further. I was like, don't make it by here. We're gonna go off this bump, step away, smash into the snow on the other side, and like bounces me up enough that I'm like, I take off. This before I knew to go 0 flaps to 40. If you go 0 to 40, it pops you off the snow pretty good. I was going 0 to 20. So it was like 0 to 20, and it was like back into the snow. It was like trying to tell that. Anyway, that mogul I like hit the tranny just right and it popped me up. And and then I did like 10 times. I came around and packed the runway in both directions. I was able to pack the runway. That's how flat the glacier was. And then I was like, I was almost gonna just fly home, man. It was like 6:30, you know, it's like sun's going down. I was like, fuck, man, am I really gonna put this plane back down on this glacier right now and pick them up? It's like, fuck. It's like I almost just flew home. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, the helicopter won't even make it he'll be on the glacier by himself, so he'll never forgive me, man. I was like, fuck, I have to. So we put it down, load everything in the plane. Then there's just enough fuel left to I'm like, just enough to get home. Probably too much to get off the ground. It's like, fuck. and I went for it, and we did get off and made it home. And
Wow.
pretty much we were both just super sunburnt and so tired, didn't ski anything.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck, it's a little bit humbling, man. Like, it's harder than I thought.
Imagine, I couldn't imagine being Ian and he's like, and you're like, dude, we're gonna go ski and like go shred this thing. And then he figures out you did it for the first time. But then imagine if you ended up, you left him on the glacier.
Oh, man. He'd have forgiven me. Ian's a dope dude. But, man, what if somebody did that to me? I would be fucking so pissed, you know?
You just expect him to turn around and then you just see him fly away. Just keeps going out.
Totally, man.
Oh, that's so funny. There was this podcast that I read and like listened to part of it. And one of the quotes you had was, "It's pretty sweet to chuck your skis out of a plane and skydive down for like $80 of gas instead of taking a helicopter up there." So do you skydive out of your plane or other people's plane? So you just chuck your skis and then jump out and then shred and then someone picks you up?
Yeah. It's the best run ever, man. It's the best.
That's nuts.
Fly by something that you think looks good, chuck your skis on it, and then jump down to the skis. And then you pack your bag. The worst part is you got to carry your parachute down with you. And there's not I mean, they're pretty light, but it's still like, it's heavier than my avalanche backpack. And I got to have my avalanche backpack too. So it's like, it's good. It's good shredding. What I really want to do is be able to leave the plane, fly in, leave the plane on top, shred down all the way, and then go back to the airport and then skydive back to my plane and then go down and pick up the homies and go back. That's the circuit.
Wow.
You don't need a ski fly. There's only one. I'm the only guy with a ski plane in Squamish. I'd love to be another guy come out ski planing, but not so far. So far to get back to the plane, I got a skydive to it, which really isn't that bad. You've already been on the glacier that day. You know, you know it's not too windy. You landed your plane on it. Should be able to skydive back to it, no problem. And then it's an easy takeoff because you're light. You're by yourself.
Oh my gosh. So I'm confused. So so you want to take your plane, land it, have someone pick you up, then you skydive, ski back to your plane? Or what's the circuit?
No. So you load the plane up at the airport with me and 3 people. We land on the top of a glacier, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere where we can ski down to the valley, like get to a road. We leave the plane up there. We shred all the way down to the road. We get a ride back to the airport. And then we take another plane. We fly it up. I skydive from that plane, get my plane, fly my plane down, pick everyone back up, go back up, land on top of the glacier.
That sounds like a James Bond movie, or like even gnarlier.
It's a good way to get a couple laps for sure.
I bet.
In Alaska, you can land on the highway too. So really, we could just be using. There's lots of places where you could just ski right back down to the highway, which is basically an airport.
Wow. So did you just kind of like, you were like, okay, so I want to start flying. Well, I want to ski. Then you blow your knee, and then you get your license. And you're like, well, I want to ski now from my plane. And you're like, well, what if I
took a long time. It took a long time to get there, man. I flew I thought that for sure that it was going to be that way, but it was like, there's a lot to learn with flying, man. It was like, I was thinking that for sure. I bought a 172. It was the wrong plane for what I needed to do. So I was like, I used that basically until I was like, I surfed out of the plane first. You know, I was like going to the beaches, landing on the. It took me over a decade before I started like being able to actually land the plane and ski out of it. It took a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
What made it take a lot longer than you anticipated? Just experience,
Well, just
or?
having the right equipment and the experience. And there's not like in BC, unfortunately, it's just not too many people that fly. Like they do, but it's not like Alaska. There's not too many people that ski planes with ski planes or bush wheels. There's a lot of float planes around because there's a lot of guys live on on those beautiful spots of the lake. They have their float plane, but there's not too many bush wheels or ski planes around. And yeah, it took me a while just to. It wasn't like my dad's not a pilot. I sort of like learning on my own. I didn't really have like a back then now I have lots of guys that I met along the way that are like, man, I got a problem. I call these guys. They know it. They're like 40,000 hours in all these different aircrafts. Really talented and smart guys that I can use now. But back then I didn't have anything like that. I was sort of in it for I didn't know anyone. I was on my own. And so it took me quite a while to be able to get to the point where I was like, just figure out what the fuck I needed to be able to pull it off in the right price range. Like so many guys like, no, it's impossible. You needed a Pilatus Porter probably for these mountains. You're like, Pilatus Porter, how much a Pilatus Porter? I was like, holy fuck, I'm not getting a Pilatus Porter. You know?
Yeah.
Like took a while to learn that I needed a 180, man. I didn't know a lot about it when I started. I just knew I wanted to fly.
Wow. And so then you figured out that, and like landing on the glaciers and stuff, and then it was okay, now skydiving and then doing all that. But is there anything else you want to add on? Like what's the next topping? Because you've stacked it up a lot, I'd say. So what's next for that besides like being comfortable skiing, I guess, like you said, and pushing your skiing?
Man, it's gonna take a while to be that comfortable to ski like an AK spine, man. That's what I want. I want to go to Alaska and ski an AK fucking epic spine that I would have out of something that I'd be as psyched out of the helicopter, right? Or just to I have a trip planned this spring. Hopefully it all comes together where two of my buddies with choppers and myself and my bud Mason, he's as a photographer, we're going to fly up to Alaska with two choppers in my plane. We'll land the plane. That makes it really easy because then we're all like in our own units. We can land all together on the glacier. It was like, yo, will you take me up there? The other chopper, hey, can you film it? Right? Like put that guy over there. It just makes it so much easier if you have two rich guys with you that are super down to fly around in the mountains and see, and like actually, and that they're stoked to be with someone that's like gonna do something while they're there instead of just like having a sip of coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're gonna shred that while you have your coffee, okay? They're like, oh yeah, okay. You know, so that's we're gonna hopefully get a couple sick days in Alaska. But no, I would love to be able to find there's spots up there with those long tailing glaciers. They're like land at the top of the glacier, traverse over to the ridge, and then just endless spines down the ridge, ski back to the glacier, flat, tour back up to the plane. Or just, I mean, then at that point you can just taxi. You could have one of your friends taxi the plane down the glacier, come get you.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I love the circuitry. It's so interesting. Just like
well, mostly you're skinning. That's you got to be ready to be like, you fly around and look at something, and it's like looks like it's right there. Shit's gonna be so easy. This is awesome. You land the plane, and then you like start. You're like, oh, it looks pretty far away, but I remember it's right over that ridge. You start trekking away. And after like an hour goes by, you look back at the plane, and it's like you barely even see it. It's like it's teeny as you're like, oh my god, it's far. It's like, and what that shit we just scoped is really big. Actually, it's sometimes in the mountains, it turns out it's hard to know when you're scout shit. I noticed that when I was heli skiing a ton. It was like it's hard. You scout something, and you're like, It's hard to know how big or small it actually is. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is going to be nuts. You get up there and you look like, oh, this is nothing. And then other times you're like, oh, this should be mellow. Looks okay. You get up there, it's a blind rollover. You're like, fuck, it looks like a mile away at the bottom of this fucking thing. I can't see any of it from here. It's so scary, you know.
Yeah.
But
Wow. Damn. Well, just to switch notes a little bit here. So you started. I don't need to go into your whole backstory because if people want to know, there's tons of info and stuff like that out there about your bio. But basically, I'm curious about, because I transferred from mogul to park skiing and like to like all mountain, big mountain stuff, and I'd just love to hear what your attitude was to moguls, and then especially when you got into free skiing and these more like the freestyle stuff, when that was just like in the birth of it, and like participating in that with like all these legends like JP and McConkey and like all those guys that are just doing like crazy shit. So like, and I think a lot of people look back nostalgically to those days as like, just like everyone was just wild and psyched and just doing crazy shit. And I'd just love to hear like being a part of that and like being with all these rad people and stuff like that and what that was like.
it was fucking awesome, man. The good old days, dude. CR Johnson, fucking sending it, Tanner Hall, coming out of nowhere, winning everything. This like badass kid, baggy clothes. It was crazy, man. I know McConkey fucking doing quadruple backflips off of Seth Morrison, man. Like he was crazy. It was a you're right. It was a free for all, dude. It was fucking awesome. I was pulled towards it when I was skiing moguls big time, man. It's like I skied moguls longer than all my friends. I was better at it than them. That's why I was. So I stuck with it. I wanted to go to the Olympics as a mogul skier, so I ended up staying with it longer than everyone else. But in the end, I quit skiing. Well, I couldn't help it, man. I had a spot at the X Games for slopestyle and halfpipe, and I had a full World Cup start for mogul skiing, and I was skipping World Cups to go to the X Games. And the guys on the mogul side were like, "What the fuck, man?" It's like, give your spot to someone else who wants it, you know? And I was sort of like, that's true. Like, I don't even what am I doing? It's like, so I did. I just quit and started, and then literally just left, bought a truck, drove to Mammoth, and started sending it, dude. We always had the LCP, my three good buddies growing up. And they were in the thing. There was that season that I quit before it happened. I read a story. I fucking can't remember where I read it, but it was like back in the beginning of the internet when Seth had written a forum about the two kids from Calgary. It was about my two homeboys that I grew up with and how they were doing. These two kids like got their pass pulled on the first day, and then they snuck back into some resort and double back this fucking famous cliff, the both of them. And Seth was just like, these kids are fucking wild, man. Like, basically gave them a call out. And I remember reading that and just like, oh my God, man, my homies I gotta go fucking hang with these guys. And so that was my pull towards free skiing. Yeah, JP was fucking sending it, man. JP actually was the first badass skier I really ever met. He was friends with my coach when I was a mogul skier. They were like somehow super good buddies. He told me that. I was like, JP O'Clair's your good buddy? Like, sure, bud. And then he's like, no, we'll take you skiing. It's like a couple days later, he picks me up with JP, takes me skiing, man. Shred the whole day. At the end of the day, JP gives me 2 pairs of goggles with like 9 lenses. And he tells me, he's like, you're going to do good, kid. You know why? Because you're a show-off, he tells me. Because I was like, I always wanted to hit the shit under the chair all day long. JP's like teasing me about being a show-off. Anyway, I was young, man. I would have been like 13 or 14 then. Gave me a really good push, man, JP. And later on, I got to film movie parts with him and fucking travel around. It's like I got to go to Micah Helly with JP during a super sick trip, man. We skied some wild shit. Yeah. Yeah, I was lucky, dude. I was lucky to be a part of it in those days, man. And I feel happy that I didn't stick with moguls as long as I was like, I'm happy I made the call that I did when I did. It was like I immediately got paid by my sponsors who weren't paying me before. I was like had money to buy a truck, had money. It was like, and all of a sudden I would have been 20 or something, 21. That was a good start, man.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's so unique because a lot of just people listening that are outside of the skiing world would see like the Olympics on a global international scale is like the sports of like this is the thing. So a lot of people would
I wish I got to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
I definitely still think that for sure, man.
Hey, you never say never. Maybe they'll open up a ski-based jump bush plane discipline and you could do that.
Me and my buddy were talking about going for two-man luge.
Yeah.
Two-man luge.
Dude, you got to do skeleton because head first.
I bet you there's not like for sure. I just feel like there's probably not that much competition in two-man luge. I feel like you could probably get an Olympic start. Two-man luge to get the Olympics. Don't get the Olympics. Oh man, no, I don't think so. No, and it's all good, man. By the time I was finished with slopestyle and half pipe, that was right when they were like Sarah was lobbying hard, and I was sort of like giving up. I seen Sarah work so hard to get those sports in the Olympics and do all the right things, and they just didn't listen to her, man. They did all this other shit. They put other sports in, and they pull it like, and then eventually they put in half pipe and slopestyle, and they did. It's awesome. It's so rad that it's in there. But it was right in my I missed both the mogul one and then the slopestyle half pipe one too. Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just think that decision, because ultimately you did decide to like leave that opportunity and then go to X Games, which like I said, like a lot of people I think would be like, that's crazy. Like the Olympics is like it. But for you, it wasn't. It was like the X Games, which especially at that time, like had such like soul to it. And it was like this new thing that was just badass, like on the street. And like Tony Hawk was doing first cork 9, and it was just like, oh, there's X Games in Aspen. So what
yeah, it was cool back then, man. It was a sick thing to be a part of, and watching it is like this will be my first year I don't go to the X Games because of the great disease or whatever. And buddy, I've been going to the X Games. I hadn't missed a year in so long. Like Sarah passed away right before the X Games. And we still, like, I was just sort of like, her whole family and I still went because we felt like it was like Sarah fucking would definitely want it to go on, and she would want like her. So, we sort of felt like we could support the X Games for Sarah because we knew that it wasn't like we didn't hamper on anything, right? So we went that year. I went every year since then to support the women's half pipe until this year will be the first year I don't go. But that's like, man, I'm 37, and my first X Games when I was 22 or 21, I guess.
Wow.
Maybe even 20. That means I've been going to the Aspen X Games for almost 17 years. That's nuts. And I'll tell you what, man, I've seen it like go through waves of cool and this and that. But the prizes, the purses have gone up and done whatever. But like the gift bag when you check in used to be ridiculous. It's like it used to, you get 2 cell phones, a sick camera, lenses, all this like ridiculous like jackets and coats, like all the most ridiculous. Now it's like I go there with I watched Tyler Nicholson check in. I saw his bag and I was like, man, I was like, please, it's not the good old days anymore, is it? It's like a scarf and a bandana.
A scarf.
Like a USB drive that says X Games on or something. I'm just making shit up. But No, the X Games is awesome, man. They've done such a good job over the years of like keeping what's important good.
Yeah.
They've it's. I hope they get to keep going, man. I hope this shit fucking doesn't mess up. Seems like all the athletes are still going, so that's dope.
Yeah. It's crazy how it's evolved over the years, especially like, well, I guess you could just argue skiing in general. I don't know if it's like, well, people say it's dying, and I don't think it's dying. I think it's just changing in light of, honestly, social media has kind of changed all that.
Trending, right?
What?
For sure, man. For sure.
Yeah.
I think you're totally right. Everything's always changing though. Like I think about how much the skiing has changed in my life. Like I grew up like in my time when I got into skiing, there were no twin tips. Shit didn't exist yet. There was like Scott Schmidt sending it off of like the side pocket landing was like a legitimate way to land. Like you land on your back and pop up, you like stomped it. You know, that was like how I grew up looking at ski. I seen Warren Miller and shit. Then I'll never forget seeing Johnny DeCesare's first movie, man, State of Mind. My grandpa got it for me by accident. And holy shit, dude, that shit changed skiing within like it's crazy. It's crazy how much. And you like I grew up skiing a bunch of different resorts. Like we'd go to a different, we'd get a season's pass. My folks at a different one like every year as I was growing up. Like some years we'd go to Sunshine. Back in the day, it's like too dangerous. We're not building jumps, rail slides. That's ridiculous. Now it's like rail parks for days. Like it's pretty wild, man. How much just the ski resort changed. And it's like, I think, yeah, it's hard to say. Social media definitely makes skiing. It's like, there's so much going on, man. There's so many like since I've been like, you know, X Games and not like not competing in the X Games and not like on the scene all the time. And it's crazy how many fucking sick skiers there are out there these days, and snowboarders. It's like there's so many kids that are just like they're so much sicker than we all were in my day, like, and they're not even getting recognized. Man, it's like there's so many like. Imagine you're doing triple corks and stomping it on ice, and it was just your coach is like, "Nice, try to do like another 180." You know, it's like. Fuck, man. Like, imagine trying to live in that. Like, Jesus. It would be really, really hard to be like, it's crazy what the bar's been set at. Like, what I've seen in skiing and how much just jumping has evolved. It's pretty, I think we lived through an era where it's like, can it change that much again? I don't know, dude. It's like, can that much progression keep going? It seems to be. It's friggin' humans are badass. There's always ways to progress. That's what we learn. There's always sick ways to progress.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
so I think skiing will be fine. People love it. It's the dopest shit ever, man. You flying down a mountain covered in snow. It's like that shit will last forever. I'll tell you that. It's like as long as there's snow and mountains, people will want to ride down them.
Hell yeah, yeah, it's the shit. Skiing's so fun, and I love bringing. So my girlfriend just started skiing, and she always feels bad because she's like not the best skier, but it's just so cool because even if like you do that on your level, but then like she can ride like up a lift like 300 yards up the mountain, or like whatever, half a mile. She's doing good. I'm not calling her out, but like you can just have fun on like that small of a level, but then it can go to a global international scale. And then there's like so many different disciplines of it. And it's just so expandable. So I just think there's a couple other sports like it, but it's so unique in that way.
It's old too. It's a very old sport.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy too, because you go to the Alps and just Europe in general, kind of where, I mean, like skiing kind of popped up everywhere, but I feel like the Alps is where a lot of the like big mountain stuff got settled and was done for the first time, just because the resorts were built. Like, I mean, you've obviously been to Europe and stuff, and the ski resort infrastructure there and the access is just nuts. Like you can go literally from country to country.
So fucking crazy. Eh?
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. So
Where should we put this tram cable to? Like the top. He's like, oh, we could just go on the shoulder, sir. He's like, no,
we will
the
put
very top. He's like, people can't even ski down from there. He's like, we put it at the top. We'll build them a ladder. Like, what? It's so insane.
Yeah, I've skied in Europe a couple times, and yeah, and you go up the trams and you're like, where are we going? Like there's just rocks. I don't want to base jump off this. I'm just trying to ski.
It's nuts, man. It's so nuts. I love the European mentality. Like those guys, the French and the Swiss and the Germans, man, they built some wild shit over there. The tunnels and the trains and the tram lines and the ski resorts is like, it's unreal, man. What they make whatever we've done in North America look so petty.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's
Because like here it'll be like, oh, like you're gonna go down quick draw and then tornado, and then you go down hurricane, and it's like it's super cool. But like then you go to Europe and it's like, yeah, we don't do a lot of avalanche mitigation, and you're alone in this 7,000 acre property that goes through 4 countries.
And don't follow tracks because we got guys flying with fucking kites above their head and they just ski right off cliffs. So don't follow people's tracks.
Yeah. This is nuts. Just absolutely nuts. But so yeah, it's cool how skiing can be so different. And also, I mean, like I wasn't calling out like the States or North America or anything because it's unique in itself. Like the more like cowboy mentality too, for sure, is definitely pretty cool.
Totally.
And like snowmobiling out here is definitely like a significant, like in BC and in Wyoming and Colorado is because they don't have that really in Europe, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, you're not snowmobiling around, or there's rules. It's weird. It's weird what you think you're not allowed to do, wouldn't be allowed to do. You can over in Europe, and then there's things. Oh no, snowmobiling. Really?
Yeah, it's so weird. They're like, so you're like, oh, like I could go wherever I want, and like literally anything. They're like, yeah, just do that. It's like, well, can I use a snowmobile to get around? It's like, no, you can't do that. You have to stay here. You have to hike up. Well, that's why they're all so fit because they just climb up everything and then run up all the mountains.
True.
So gnarly. But this I had a question earlier. You mentioned the gift bags and how they for the X Games athletes and how it used to be like cameras and all this like crazy nice stuff, and then now it's like it's just like the USB drive and then like a pin and a scarf, and that and that's not bad. But I'm just curious what you
17 years too.
What do you say?
I've been spoiled a lot in those 17 years. Maybe I'm a bit jaded. It's probably
But I was just gonna ask you what do you think is so over those 17 years, what made it go from the cameras and all that like crazy stuff into like the scarf and the pin and stuff like that? Like what was that change? That it's not necessarily a negative change, but obviously the financing of like Disney doesn't sponsor X Games anymore. Like there's no Disney movie advertisements, or like Target doesn't sponsor athletes like they used to. So I'm just curious, and what your thoughts are is like where that kind of broader commercial appeal to outside of the ski industry, like kind of started to end, and why that happened.
Yeah, no Target, just Target not touching any. How about snowboarders?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong because I know Tornator Wallace was on Target, which is so nuts to me. That's so nuts.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe now. I'm not sure, but it's definitely like. What'd you say?
Our buddy Troy was working for Target. He was the man, and he'd have Target gift. And he'd be like, he'd always hook Sarah up with a Target gift card. And she'd like come back. We'd be driving past the Target. We'd have to go in there. She'd have like a fucking $1,000 gift card or something. Holy shit. So sick. Go in, get a bunch of duvets. All
Oh,
this. Yeah. But no, man, I it's hard to say. I think they like, it's probably a lot less funded than it used to be. But I think they've also started, like, I think in the beginning, nobody knew where to make money, so it was just sort of a free for all. There was like guys not, it was like missed opportunities all over the place, and maybe these days it's more organized, and that's why the gift bags are smaller, because they realize that the athletes just end up throwing all that shit away anyway. So why would they spend all that money on it? It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe it'll comes back around, but maybe I'm jaded too. And I start saying, there's probably something cool in that gift bag. There's got to be.
yeah, for sure. I guess I was just trying to use that as like a metaphor, just to say like why the ski industry in general has kind of lost that funding. But no, yeah, you're right. It's pretty crazy.
I want no more skiers on Target. What else is a big mainstream? There's still Subaru's still giving skiers cars.
That's
and
true.
Shit.
And Toyota. Yeah, that's true.
Toyota, yeah. I think you're just going through waves, man. Certain companies are going to drop out and other companies are going to drop back. Skiing's always going to be it's sliding at like a ridiculously fast speed over snow down a mountain. There's nothing like it. You look up at a mountain, you're like, if you've skied, you can look at a mountain and be like, oh man, it's like, that's never going away.
No,
It'll just go. It's going to help. Skiing will help companies sell friggin' anything from Tic Tacs to 2x4s, man.
Tic Tacs to 2x4s.
People are always going to use skiing as a marketing tool, I think, because it's fucking
no, yeah, for sure.
hard to compete with.
Yeah. So you kind of did you ever really transition from competition to filming, or was it more like when you weren't competing, you were filming and stuff like that?
Yeah, when I always was filming, man. I started when I was there. Even in the mogul days, we were filming shit, man. It's nonstop my whole life. Still film shit every day. Always getting funny shots, good shots, man. That's how I go through the day. Get good shots. No, yeah, I've always filmed my whole life through everything.
What do you have a preference of filming versus like competition, or did you at that point?
Always prefer filming, man. For sure. I never really liked to compete that much, to be honest. So much stress. I'd always fucking crash, man. Such a horrible feeling when you crash in a comp. It's like everybody's putting all this fucking, like, you're gonna do sick. People like putting their time and energy into you, and then you crash and let yourself down, and everybody else is just like, I'd so much rather like be able to just go back up and do another run until I got it. And I was like, that's filming, it's like, that's the thing, is you can always go back up and go against your program. Being on like a 3, 2, 1 go, sort of like, mogul skiing too, man. I was like, I crashed so much. I had so many close events where I was like so close to doing well and just crash in the bottom section. It's like go too big on the bottom area, like too, I was a fucking competition crasher. I had a few events where I held it together, but not too many.
Yeah. So did you compete then just because of the like the industry's pressure for you to compete?
No, I competed in moguls because that was the only thing to do, and then I competed in the X Games and like other events because there's money on the line. I was like, fuck, man, I got to start, and there's like I could win money. I won the Australian X Games. It was like 10 grand, and it got me a start in the that was how I got my spot in the first Winter X Games in Aspen for half pipe. And yeah, I do comms because you could win money. That's good motivation.
Yeah.
You know, buy a mobile and then I'll be able to film better shit.
True.
You know.
And then so what was the first? So was Attack of the La Nina the first like big movie you were in, or what was the very first one?
I don't remember, man. It was before Attack of La Nina, though.
Because you've been in like 30 big ski movies.
What's that?
I just looked it up, and you've been in like over 30 ski films. So I was just curious about like the first one you did and what that experience was like.
Over 30. I didn't know that stat, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Be like, baby, I've been over 30 ski movies. No, man, I don't remember the first one. The first real movie I know I was in was our Loose Cannon LCP. We made a movie called Half Decent and then one called Without a Cause. Those were my best buds. They were pretty ridiculous, man. Looking back, pretty crazy, silly movies. We were like before CKY2K's time, or about the same. Jumping and we were hitting like smashing ourselves, like standing in a circle and just punching each other in the face around the circle. All sorts of just super stupid shit.
Wow.
And but my first main ski movie was with Matchstick. And it would have been, or Poor Boys maybe, but I think it was with Matchstick, and it would have been I don't know, my best one the one I'm most proud of is Push and Pull. Matchstick Productions that year. I think that's my switch double back year. That was a good season for me. I had a super good season. I had good comp results, and I got a good film here.
That's awesome. And then so you kind of just were balancing filming and competing, and then you started working with like Sherpa Cinema and doing like All I Can and then Into the Mind and stuff like that. And I actually remember I got Into the Mind for Christmas in 2000. So I was 13 in 2013, and I remember watching the trailer was the oh gosh, it was A Tribe Called Red. I remember that. And then like Renan Ozturk and those guys shot it, and the DVD had like an owl on it. And I remember putting it into my Blu-ray player and being so psyched to watch it. So it's cool to be able to talk to you because you were in it. So
yeah, those were good times, man. What that was, I think was JP was in that one too, right?
JP was in All I Can.
All I Can, and what was the next one though?
Into the Mind.
He was in Into the Mind. We filmed in Micah Helly for Into the Mind together.
Okay.
All I Can. It was for or was it? I can't remember. I'll tell you what though, I could tell you like a lot of stories from that trip. I remember it day by day, like how much funny shit happened. That's where we came up. JP came up with calling Callum Lodge Man, and then superpowers, and he'd fly on his back with his big belly to the sky. Lodge Man. And he'd just always be after snacks, because Callum Pettit that year just went, he did like, we were at Micah Helly, and it was like end of March, and Callum had been going to cat skiing and heli skiing lodges consecutively every week since like October, probably the end of October, like November. He was like going to all these ridiculously like super, like 5-star resorts for the entire winter. Started calling him Lodge Man. It's just all about, it's like he knew all the different snacks from all the lodges. Pretty funny.
Wow.
Came up, man, I'll never forget it, man. Lodge man goes where the snacks are.
Oh. Are there any other stories from filming those movies?
Oh, lots, man. Lots of crazy. I could tell you a million crazy stories. Ask me one.
All right. What's the gnarliest line that you skied, like filming?
There's a few real scary ones, man. The gnarliest one, there's a good one from that Micah Heli trip I could tell you about. I was at the top with JP and Callum, and we like sort of Rochambeaued on who got what line, and I ended up with the line in the middle, and then as the radio call goes, I ended up going first. I think I had to go first, and I had thought I had scouted the line really well. It was like just about in the alpine, like still trees though, and it was like a spine that rolled over. And it ended up being in the movie, the shot. And it was, I friggin' didn't see that cliff at the bottom. Like I came skiing in, like hit a couple pillows, and I go to just like air off the roller, thinking I'm just going to like air over the roller, dot to dot. I like air over the roller, and it's just like the angle is right above the helicopter. It makes it look way smaller than it actually was, man. It's like I ended up going so big into the flat light, and just somehow like landing on my back and popping back up in a cloud of smoke. It looks like I land somehow and skiing. I was like, it hurt so much, man. I remember on the way home asking the chopper pilot to do negative G's. And then like while he was doing negative G's, like pushing on because my stomach was like, I swear I like twisted something. Anyway, it helped a little bit. But that was a gnarly one from that trip. I fell off a big cliff in Terrace one time. That was a scary one. Because first, I slough, man. Turn. Went to cross the slough to the exit. It was like, boom, feet out from underneath me, just right off like a 60-foot cliff, rocks everywhere. It was like, whoops.
Whoops. I guess you could say whoops. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I learned about slough, man.
That's probably a good time to learn about that, is when it pushes you off a 60-foot cliff. That's gnarly.
Yeah, like, oh, nope, this is happening. I was like, definitely going off of that.
Wow. That's nuts. Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. And so okay, and then did you ever have any close calls, like getting stuck in avalanches or anything filming?
Yep. Oh yeah, man. I got buried a few times, and I almost fell in a crevasse one time. If you you can look that one up. There's a YouTube Rory Bushfield falls in crevasse, and I'm like hanging by my ski tips over the crevasse, and I just broke my skis that morning. And my ski rep at the time, Rozzy guy, he gave me a new pair of skis, but he didn't do. He's like, "Do you want to do the dins up tighter?" I was like, "Nah, man, whatever. I'll save my knees." Like, how low can your dins be? Turns out they were on like 3.5 or 4, and I was hanging upside down across a crevasse from this, but like bottomless hole, man. That was fucking scary. That was a super close call. That one is like still like haunts me. I was pretty young too. It's so stupid too, man. I did a 180 off like an ice cliff, and as I was like turning on an edge, and where my body hit the ground was like the other side of the crevasse, just like doofing into the hole. It was like hanging from my skis. So stupid.
Wow. And then how about getting buried? Because knock on wood, I've been lucky enough that I also live in Steamboat, and Steamboat has like pretty flat terrain. It's in like northwestern Colorado, so it's like pretty mellow.
Colorado's known for avalanches, man.
Yeah.
That was in Cresta Butte. It was the worst one I ever got buried. And it was just a landing, bro. We hit this jump 10 times, never slid. I friggin' did it. I caught an edge on takeoff. It was like back in the day, I was trying to take off switch, like through the trees. There's like a shitty little in-run through the trees. I caught an edge, and I didn't quite get it like any pop on the takeoff. So I landed like high on the landing, but with lots of speed. and the whole landing broke loose, slid me to the bottom into the little terrain trap, you know, and then just buried me right over my head. And my best friend got me out. He was right there, thank God, man, because I'm claustrophobic, man. I was having a huge panic attack. He got me out very quickly, thankfully.
So when you were like under the snow, what were you thinking besides, oh, I mean, I don't even know, because I feel like it's pretty easy to assume what you're thinking. Like, holy fuck, this is really sketch.
Fuck. Well, it all happened pretty quick. That was the first time I got buried. The second time I got buried, I was like, that I had some time to ride. I was like riding on the chunks down the mountain, and then they pushed me into like went on a cat track. It was like I slid all the way down onto a cat track, and I like smoked into the cat track, and then it just came on top of me like, and it like buried me in like a ball, like standing on my feet. And it was way less scary because I actually had like a big air pocket and was like, I bet you I would have got myself out on my own on that one because I was like in a good position. The other time I was like feet above my head, like arm behind my back. Like I was you'd think Colorado, we wouldn't cement you in like that. It was like cemented, man. Like couldn't fucking move at all. It was like, that was a super scary one. Just a landing too. I've been in a few where it slid and I got away. But those are the only 2 times I ever got buried. They weren't too bad, but bad enough I had to get dug out both times.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds gnarly. Did you ever get like used to the fact, like, I don't know, I feel like, so I've surfed in like video, like shot pretty big waves. And once you get wrecked, like for the first time, you're kind of like, oh, okay, like that's kind of what that was. And you don't become like less scared, but you're more like knowledgeable of what you're really facing. So once you like got buried and like that kind of happened to you, were you like, okay, like now I know how to better deal with the situation?
Oh, it's different. It's not like an ocean wave, bro. It's like, totally different. It doesn't let up. It holds you down until you're dead. You know, an ocean wave always, you know, to relax because it's always lets you up. At least so far. I was like, at least so far, all the waves I've been held down by let me up. But the 2 times I got held by down snow, it didn't let me up. So no, it made me more scared of it. Open my eyes to what's possible. Like, holy shit, just that like super small thing you'd never guess. Bear would have killed me if I was by myself.
Wow. Dang. Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's gnarly. And I've had bad experiences too with like friends and stuff like that. And especially a lot of the time bad things happen, like you said, just like on the small stuff, like the things that you're kind of complacent about. And it's just, oh, this is just this normal thing, whatever, no big deal. And then it happens and you're like, oh, holy shit. Like imagine what could happen on something that's actually way gnarlier that like we do pretty regularly.
I know. It's true, man. It's true. It's out there, but 99.9%, it's always, I mean, those slopes that slide and kill people are good every other day of the year. You know, it's just like once a year, those things, like, or maybe not even, maybe it goes 50 years before those things do anything that would, you know. If the mountain's angry, that's what they say in Nepal. Like, if she's angry, she'll come down and kill us. So let's hope she's not angry.
But that's the crazy thing about it. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it, though, is that all you can really do, like you can prepare and you can like dig a pit, like an avalanche pit, to like see what the layers look like and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like you still are like either going to go do it or you're not going to do it. And you can just like hope. And I just think that that's pretty gnarly.
We're like ants, you know? Like little ants. No control really over the mountain.
No.
You can I gotta go find a charger, I think, here, Max. I'm sitting on, I got 8%.
Okay.
That's good. I've been on 20. It was like 20 when we started.
Wow.
It'll give us another, I got some time.
Okay, cool. How much longer do you have just to check?
Time is it? 7. Oh yeah, I should probably be. I mean, I gotta eat dinner here with my lady about 7:30.
Okay,
But
cool. Okay. So okay, cool. Well, I guess we can just jump to I guess just so you have like 15 minutes or so then?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
we
Sounds good.
can do a part 2 if you want, man. I like talking to you, Max. You are easy to talk to, man.
I appreciate that.
You're gonna do well, man. I could tell this. Like right when I got on the phone with you, it's just your smile. Like I'll tell you down because I've done some podcasts and like I'm a yes guy, dude. If somebody asks me and they want, it's like fuck yeah, dude. It's like I would love to help, dude. It's like, but which also put me in some positions where I'm just like, oh my god, man. Like, what? Just awkward shit, you know. But as soon as I start talking to you, man, you're on it, dude. You're gonna do well. You're easy to talk to.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. That's so cool to hear that from you.
Cheers, man.
Thanks so much. But yeah, I think that I'd love to talk about your dog food company because I think that is the most you were a professional. I guess you are a professional skier and like professional doing all these crazy things. And now I read a Powder magazine article, so I'm not going to take this quote from them, but they said that you're a professional personality, which I totally agree with. But instead of being a skier and starting a ski company and you make skis, you make outerwear, you make goggles or like sunglasses even or something related to that, you're just like, I'm going to make a dog food company that's like a subscription company. And so people can get their dog food on a subscription basis, which I think is so brilliant because it's one of those things like, and that's what your company's based off of. It's like, oh fuck, like I have a dog and it's a living thing and you can't forget to get your dog's food because then your dog needs to eat food. So it's just like such a simple.
You can forget everything else in life, man. You can forget everything else, but if you forget your fucking dog's dog food, that feeling inside is like, it's like no other, man. It's like you just feel like, makes you feel shitty. You know, it's like I neglected my dog, like the one thing that it actually needs. It's like it'll be fine with everything else. It just needs a little bit of food. I know, subscription. Thank you for that, dude. I'm stoked on it. And it's slowly growing. Need more. It'd be sick if I could get into the States. I think there's a lot more people that are down with the delivered dog food in the States. It's growing in Canada, but not as. I need more people on the dog food. It's because high quality doesn't actually cost. It doesn't. We don't make much on it because we pay a lot to have it made because I wasn't also gonna make shitty dog food. Man, it's important. Feed your dog. I spent a lot of time feeding Dex crappy dog food, and what it did is teach me the difference. Man, it's like good dog food, like good high protein, wheat free, like no corn. All of that shit is like, it's so bad for your dog. It can eat it once in a while, but to consistently eat like mostly corn, so that's what most dog food is, man. If it's not $50 a bag or whatever, it's like made out of corn. This is what I learned basically making dog food. Is like the expensive dog food is actually like because it's made out of meat.
Because it actually has nutrients.
And what do dogs look like? You ever look at your dog's teeth? The dog eats meat. Like that's it. It's like we need to feed our dogs meat.
The dog is not vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, as some may think so, but I don't know. If their teeth are that sharp, then I'm guessing they're meat eaters. Dex, I know is.
Dex?
She won't eat a vegetable, and she's pretty scary if you give her a big chunk of meat and try to take it back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like I have a dog and you'll like give her like a plate, like try and give your dog a salad and they'll just go up to it and just sniff it and just like look at you like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? What is this joke?
Yeah. So funny, hey? Some dogs will just chow a salad. They don't give a fuck.
That's true. I respect that.
There's dogs out there that'll just eat anything. They're hilarious.
Oh, but
I heard grapes kill dogs. You know that?
Grapes?
Someone told me a grape can kill a dog. Never heard of that before, but I looked it up. Apparently, it's bad for their liver.
Damn. I've heard, chocolate is the classic one.
Chocolate, yeah. Everyone knows about chocolate.
Yeah.
I've seen a dog eat tons of chocolate and it was fine.
What was that situation?
Somebody left a chocolate weed cake on the ground,
God.
and the dog ate it all. Yeah, it was my cousin. I won't name names. So he left it on the ground by his car overnight, and the dog ate it.
Was it the chocolate or the weed part of it? Yeah.
Man, we didn't even notice. It's like the chocolate or the weed. I don't know what, but the dog was totally fine.
It's
Like
probably
ate that. It couldn't have been that potent. The dog was totally fine. Didn't even notice.
so it
Nobody
was chilling.
noticed anyway. I was just like, it had to be the dog. There's no other way. Had to be this dog ate it. But the dog is like some dogs can just eat anything, man. Just
Yeah.
don't give a fuck.
Oh. But so yeah, wait, what was the original reason for doing the dog food company instead of just like an outerwear brand or something like that? Was it just the simplicity of the business idea and the lack of the presence in the market, or what was the idea? Where'd that come from?
Well, I had Dex. It's Dex's idea. And basically the main part was I wanted a way to raise money for the Sarah Burke Foundation that was perpetual, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, if I could build up a subscription-based company that could be profitable, at a point that I'd be able to give a constant, be able to like I give away, or we at the Sarah Burke Foundation give away 2 grants for $7,500 a year. And then we send a kid to camp, and we try to help with whatever we can. But we got to I'd love to be able to do more than that and get just like have enough surplus made from dog food to be able to continue bigger or more grants, right? That's the original dream behind it. It was like Sarah found Dex in a ditch and brought her home. I was like, we're not getting a dog. She's like, it's a Labrador and it's a boy, just like you wanted. I was like, this is like a wolf cub and it's a girl. She's like, we can take her to the pound. I was like, no, give me this dog, you know? And I fell in love with Dex, really like her. And then I fed her shitty food long enough that I realized that she got like a little belly rash, and I was like, figured it out by like feeding her really well. And then realized like all my friends have dogs with belly rat, you know. I was like, we're all feeding our dogs shitty food. And how many times I forgot to get Dex food, just ended up giving her like whatever I had, like a can of tuna or something, you know. I was like, too many times, man. I was like, no, we got to do something. And then my partner Blair Harper, who's a saint, he's the business behind it. We partnered up, and he holds it together, man. We deliver dog food.
When are you going to start doing it out of airplanes?
Well, we've chucked a couple bags out of the airplane. We made a commercial where we chuck it, just a stupid commercial. We should do a better one. I know, it would be pretty funny. Delivered to the dogs just eating busted kibble all over. I know, man.
That'll be awesome.
Hilarious.
Oh yeah. But just before you go, I have one more question. There's this hashtag on your Instagram that says "blow it if you got it," and you say that all the time, and I'm just curious what it means.
It's basically not to fucking, you know, if you look at something and you should go ski it and it's right now, you know, those days you're like, well, I'll go get it tomorrow. Or like, no, there'll be time later. It's like, that's like my inspiration to myself to be like, no, man, it's like, there is no later. It's like, it looks good right now. It's like, we can go get it later too. Why don't we just get it now as well? It's like, it's right there. Blow it if you got it. You know, if you can, you fucking probably should, man. It's like, it's to give you that last little bit of motivation. It's like, you're here, you know, blow it if you got it. I came up with it on a chairlift with my buddy, with Sage Cacciabringelosa. I still can't pronounce his last name properly. Right? He's a good friend of mine. I love that kid. But no, we came up with it on the chairlift together. And I liked it.
That's awesome. I think that's a great life motto to live by, and I'm excited to see you keep pursuing your stuff, and I'd love to get you on for a part 2 sometime. That'll be fun to catch up.
I'd love to, man. Fuck
awesome.
Yeah, Max.
Well, thank you so much for your time and responding to my DM. That's freaking so cool of you, and yeah, thanks so much for talking.
No worries, man.
I really appreciate it.
We got to do it, dude.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, thank you so
Well,
much.
enjoy the night. I hope you guys get some snow in Colorado soon, man. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, cross the fingers. We'll see what
Maybe
happens.
I'll get to go down there for the X Games. I don't think so, though. It's not looking like it.
Yeah, no, the border's probably not going to be. Well, I'm going to be
It's just a
coming.
matter of like going. I think that they're just keeping it super tight.
Yeah,
It'd
for
be
sure.
like to show up there, like, what are you doing? You know, unless you're competing, it's like, no, I just came to party.
Yeah, I don't know how psyched they'd be, but
Yeah, like, well, nobody else showed up to party for us, so you're
But
on
I'm
your
here.
own. No budget either. Like, what?
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much. Have a great night with your girl, and yeah, see you later.
Okay, thank you, man. We'll talk
See
to you
ya.
soon, Max.
Bye.
Later.
Yo, I forgot to do the outro, so on my big camera, so I'm just doing it on my phone. But wow, what a conversation, right? He's just an absolute legend. Rory's he's such a cool guy, and at the end we talked a little bit about blow it if you got it, which is his like life motto and like his like phrase, and I think that totally just encapsulates what he does on a daily basis and the way that he lives his life, doing all the crazy stuff that he does. I think that's a good like role model, and something that we should all do is like blow it if you got it. Like if you have the ability and if you can do it in that moment, like just freaking go for it. And I think that's applicable to a lot of situations besides just base jumping out of, well, I guess skydiving out of airplanes and just doing all that stuff. But I also think it's so cool how he shows that you can find things in life that you never thought you could, and opportunities that you never, I doubt that when he was younger, even within skiing, he thought he'd be able to do the crazy stuff he does with airplanes, and how he's like unique with that, and he's finding his own path. So thank you again, Rory, for doing this podcast with me, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you on Thursday for another Friday for another full episode. Have a great freaking week. Go do some sick stuff. Blow it if you got it. See you later. Bye.
Pressure,